Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me to go over my Disney trip. We started in the Magic Kingdom at sunrise, and isn't this just the most perfect, beautiful day to start a vacation? Despite being up so early, I was super excited. Walking down Main Street for the first time was like no other feeling in the world. I seriously got teary-eyed. It had like music playing throughout the entire park. But look at how beautiful everything is. And there's a castle in the background, and you're just slowly progressing towards this beautiful castle that is just like the epitome of Disney. Like, this was a lifelong goal to get here, and I was basically crying the whole time, but whatever, it was so cool. Of course, we immediately made a beeline for the castle, as you do, and it's beautiful. Apparently, it was repainted, and there's like some people love it, some people hate it. This is the first time I've seen it, and I think it's lovely. Inside, walking through it, there's these beautiful mosaics. It's the Cinderella story. Looks like glass, nice and shiny. It's got some gilding in it. What I really love is the styling of it. Like, it's not the Disney Cinderella, it's the story. But the styling of the mosaic is so different from the animation of the movie. It's got this like medieval Renaissance feel to it. So it looks like it might actually be a real mosaic that wasn't like just put in for Disney. I mean, clearly it was, but like, look at the detail on that. It's absolutely stunning. It's basically a moment in time in glass. Like, it's just beautiful. This was such an amazing introduction into the park. Coming through the castle, you see the entrance to Cinderella's royal table. We actually originally had reservations for that, but it's closed because of COVID, so we couldn't get in. And then you see the carousel, and you guys don't know this, but I am like super obsessed with carousels the way I'm obsessed with dinosaurs. They just hold such a special place in my heart. They're so beautiful. I didn't know there was one at Disney, but as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to ride it. I really wanted that to be the first ride that I had at Disney, and I was so excited for it. This was a beautiful carousel in general. It also had the Cinderella story on it, which made sense, but it was just a great introduction to the park, and you got to see a lovely 360 of the park and kind of get excited for all of the experiences that you're going to have in the day. Looking around, you can see the limited capacity thing totally worked. Like, there's no one here. We are here early on a weekday, so that kind of accounts for it too. Oh my God, look at the castle. It's gorgeous. But look, like almost no one here, which means no lines for the rides. And we actually got to ride every single ride in every single park, and some of the multiples. Like, it was the best thing ever. Post carousel, we started exploring the park, all of the rides and the roller coasters, and just walking around. And you can see it's like totally dead here, no lines at all, which is amazing. I know the parks are at limited capacity. It's also an early morning at that on a weekday, so I bet that has something to do with it. But it was already so hot. Honestly, I couldn't even imagine if these walkways were packed. Like, I would have been dying from the heat. So this was perfect, and it let me see everything, which I loved because it was my first time at the park. So they make you put your phone away, or camera as it were. Mine is both, for all the rides. So I don't actually have any footage on the rides, but I love that they're all just like visually interesting. That one was a really cool ride too, with amazing views of the whole park. Space Mountain honestly was one I totally wanted to ride, and I was not disappointed. It was so cool. I had a teacher in college tell me how scared she was of it because it's in the dark and screaming, and she's like, that's actually my definition of hell. So I was like weirdly super excited to ride it, and I know that's the wrong reason, but I was like so pumped about it. This place is just super cool and just aesthetically gorgeous. You can see Rapunzel's tower in the background, another lovely forced perspective. I had to ride It's a Small World after all. I know this ride like splits people. You love it or you hate it. There's very few people that are like, meh. I love it. I think this is just like the most fun, adorable little thing ever. So that was awesome. Also in the parks, you got to see the princesses, which was amazing. They came by on this beautiful parade float. I love it because it's like definitely a castle, but not a specific castle, which is really nice. It's got the mirrored and the blue, and you got to see them, and they all had their different personalities. They weren't walking around or anything, just staying in place. I think it was like a good compromise so that you get to see the face characters, but they're actually distanced from you because they're on the parade float. I don't know how it is normally, but they were very distanced from us, and they were distanced from each other. Like, if you see on the parade float, it's a very big float, but they don't have to wear masks or anything, but they're also not moving around. They stay in their own little section, and they stay safe, and the crowd stays safe. So it's a good Corona compromise. I'm assuming they did not build this float for this specific reason. Like, it definitely looks like a legit parade float. But yeah, it was really cool just to see all of the princesses. You got to see the majority of them in Magic Kingdom. There were a few missing, but Rounding out that float of princesses is the fairy godmother, as you do, because it's Cinderella's park, so she has to be there. But more than that, every princess needs a fairy godmother. So this was super cool and just like a fun way to see the princesses on your first day, because I knew there weren't going to be any parades or anybody walking around face character wise. So I was really excited that they still incorporated that into the experience in some capacity. So that was really awesome for me. I really liked it. Next up, we hit the Jungle Cruise. Look at how insanely short these lines are. I can't get over it. The cruise itself was super fun. It was like a nice, chill, relaxing water ride. All of the animals looked really realistic, and it was just fun to see them. And also, it was really nice to sit down, because being on your feet that long is taxing, especially when you're not used to walking around so much. But the entire ride, like the entire time nonstop, the boat captain was cracking like the worst puns in the world in regards to like what we were viewing, like just really bad jokes. And let me tell you, that is so my humor. And I was just like crying, laughing so hard. And everyone else in the boat was like so straight faced, but I was like, whatever, this is so funny. You guys don't even understand. Rounding out the day, we saw the beautiful castle right before heading back down Main Street to finish out our day and head into day 2. So today I am up at the crack of dawn again to go to Hollywood Studios. I'm dressed for the day with my cool towels, a short sleeve dress, and look at this gorgeous place I get to stay in. So I'm excited for a day of fun. We got to ride the chairlifts into Hollywood Studios, which was super neat. It's first time riding the Skyliner, and it's neat because it's a form of transportation, but it's also almost like its own ride in and of itself. So they did a really good job with that. And even though we got here late, the lines just aren't that bad, which is great. Walking into Hollywood Studios, I immediately see what I think is a dinosaur. It's actually supposed to be the Loch Ness, but you know what? It's close enough that I feel like Disney understands me, and I'm getting my dinosaur fix, and I appreciate them for that. We headed over to the Star Wars land first off. The new ride came out, and we actually got to ride it, which was so cool. I'm not doing any spoilers in this video, but it was super neat. So when we went to the original Star Wars ride over there, the guy said that right at 10, we should log on and click join, and if anybody in our party gets joined, everybody else exit out so we don't take extra tickets. And we did actually make it at 10. I logged back in at 10:01 to show you guys, like literally 1 minute later, and it is booked out. So just be aware of that you need to get in right on time, or else you're not going to get it. Moving into the actual park itself, it was so cool. I think what really got me here is that everything is life-size. Like so many places in Disney, while everything is amazing, it's like a forced perspective, right? Like it looks huge, and then you get closer and you realize it's not huge. It's just decorated to look really big, especially from any form of distance, like even a small distance. But everything in here is actual life-size. It's like being inside a city. Super neat. We got reservations into Olga's Cantina, and this is the coolest little space bar. Like, look at this. Seriously, everything glows. It's like sandy. It's super neat. And at the bar itself, it looks like old engine parts with like aliens excreting stuff. And it's just a super cool vibe. I love this place, actually. They had amazing little food that was all freeze dried and like astronaut food, and it was super good. The DJ is a little robot bumping beats in the corner. Not actually too loud. They got the sound balance right. The bar is light up stone. Like the whole place was super cool. We also hit some super classic rides. You have to do the Hollywood Tower of Terror ride, of course, in Hollywood Studios. And then we also got to eat at the coolest restaurant. Like it's the Sci-Fi Diner, I think. And it's built like you're outside at an old drive-in movie theater, and the tables are decorated to look like cars. It's seriously like the neatest thing. That rounded out our Hollywood Studios day. It was super fun. This park was the hottest because it's like basically all cement, but we are doing Animal Kingdom next, and I'm super excited for that. I got my new Minnie Mouse ears on, and I picked the dress that most closely matches them as I head out once again at sunrise, because this trip is nothing if not early rising and long, long walking. Looking at the pedometer on our phone, it looks like we walked between 7 and 9 miles a day. It was some serious exercise. We got to Animal Kingdom as it opened, and there were basically no lines at all, which is awesome. A couple early risers like us, but not really. And with the diminished park hours, you really didn't even have to wake up early, which was nice. The Tree of Life is so cool. You can really see the detail of all the animals they carved in on there as you get closer. But we made a beeline to the safari because we heard that the animals were more active in the morning. And if you're at Animal Kingdom, like, you really want to see animals. Also, it was, pretty early in the morning. We were tired. We'd been walking around. So like a ride where you literally just sit down for 20 minutes and the views come to you. It sounded really good. But more than that, it was actually really fun and educational. And I got to see a lot of animals that you don't often see, sometimes even at a zoo. Like, it was really neat, everything that they had in there. And you could tell they really put a lot of care and thought into the habitat for the animals. And it was just really neat to see all these little cute guys close up. At that point, it was mid-morning and I was dying, so you know I had to get my coffee because I cannot live without coffee. And they are kind enough to provide a Starbucks there. Next up, we walked over into Pandora for Flight of Passage, and this was so cool. They did an amazing job blending like normal plants with elements of the unknown, which made them look like alien plants. They did such a great job. This is another part of the park where I was just blown away by the scale of it. Everything was life-size, and that floating rock is seriously like mind-blowing. There's no straight edges for the support beams. I have no idea how they did it. It really looks like it's floating. It's incredible. And like, seriously, it's so massive that I can't even wrap my head around it. Like, it feels like you're in that world. Everything is so massive and so beautiful and life-size and just so real that it's like, how could you think you were anywhere else? Like, it was super cool. This is the line up to Flight of Passage. They do such an amazing job decorating the lines. Normally, I was told this line is between 2 and 3 hours. We rode this ride 3 times and never waited longer than 20 minutes. Like, people were way ahead of us in the line. We had to jog to catch up. But I wanted to stop and take a look around. They do such a great job decorating that even if you were stuck in the line for a while, there's so much to look at and so much detail to like pick out and spy that like it would probably still go pretty quickly because you're entertained the whole time. Honestly, I feel like I missed some of it because we had to run through so fast. This was one of my favorite rides. If you're able to, definitely check it out. Exploring other parts of the park, I was pleasantly surprised to see how many dinosaurs Disney had ready for me. This was Donald's Dinorama, and clearly it's an older part of the park that's geared more towards little kids. A lot of the roller coasters and attractions were closed, but the star-spangled triceratopses that went up and down in slow motion were open, and you better believe I rode on it. Also, they had this really cool, like, back in time dino ride that was very Jurassic Park. It had like straight up museum type pieces of bones. I don't know if they're real or not, but they were super, super cool. Coming out of it, you see this that just like screams 90s and Jurassic Park. It's like a fountain where it's this hungry dinosaur spitting and that's the water. But honestly, like, I'm in love with this and I want it. It's just like, it's absolutely everything. This park also gave you some face characters too. It's Pocahontas coming at us on a river raft. I feel so bad for the raccoon though. It was like literally so hot. It said it felt like 106 even though it was 96. The humidity was like 80%. Oh my goodness. But seriously, when she passes by, look at Pocahontas's hair. It's so smooth and shiny. Seriously, hair goals. Like, oh my God, it's just beautiful. For comparison, you can see me after a day in the humidity. Drowned rat, anyone? Whatever, it was fun. I don't even care. That's my cool towel, like full of water, trying to keep me cool and breathing. And we are moving on to day 4 at Epcot, which started out nice and slow and lovely on another river rafting ride. This one indoors to see all of the different ways Disney plants and takes care of their plants and grows the food for the parks. It was actually super neat and really informative. First off, it was like relaxing and beautiful. Second off, I got to see a lot of plants that I don't usually see and a lot of really cool growing techniques. Like, look, those are the roots, like, out of water. I didn't know you could do that. They had so many cool little things in here and they explained what they were doing and just, like, how they were advancing, like, plant growing technology to, you know, maintain and sustain resources, you know, how to get healthier plants in a smaller volume of space that they take up. It was just a really neat ride. I'm glad I went on it. You can't go to Epcot without seeing the Sphere close up. A lot of that area was under construction, but we did get to go on the ride in there. Epcot's also got your back if you want to see some princesses. We have Elsa out in front walking. Poor girl, that sucks. I'd want to be in the carriage with Anna if I was her. But yeah, these are basically the 2 princesses that we saw in Epcot, which makes sense because they built an Arendelle section. But honestly, I didn't even feel like I was missing too many face characters because in each park we went to, we got to see some, which was really cool. What I loved about Epcot was all of the different styles of architecture. Each country was so well done. And I say that having not been to all the countries, but the countries that I had been to, seeing the architecture, it looked so legit. Germany, honestly, I've never been there, but if it looks anything like this, I really, really want to go. Like, it's just absolutely stunning. We also found our way all the way around the loop over in the Canada section, and behind the Castle Steakhouse is this waterfall, boulder-strewn little rickety bridge that you walk down over a river, and it just seamlessly takes you out into the most gorgeous, beautiful, manicured English garden. Like, it's just this beautiful oasis, perfectly tucked away. Epcot was the only park we were able to stay into the evening in. There's no fireworks or parades or anything, but it was nice to see the sunset in the park. Last day of the trip was Magic Kingdom, and it started us off right with a really fun parade float of Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Donald, and Daisy, all the main face characters that you associate with Disney that so far we hadn't seen on this trip. So it was really neat and really fun to see them, and it was just a perfect way to round the trip out. They were accompanied on both sides by backup dancers, and it was just a really fun way to start the morning. After that, we rode some rides and, kind of checked the park out more. It was the last day. We were kind of relaxing, just taking in the sights. We got to eat lunch at Be Our Guest, and the room we were in was super cool. It had this rotating, dancing, elevated dais of the Beast and Beauty, just kind of like dancing and swinging around, kind of like they were in a giant snow globe or on top of a music box. And it was just really cool and really lovely and a beautiful experience. To round the trip out, the very last ride I rode on was the carousel, and this meant so much to me because it was the first ride that I rode when I came into the park and the last ride I rode leaving the park, and it was just a beautiful bookend to the experience. Leaving down Main Street, we got a warm Disney goodbye from all of the face characters as they bid us good night and safe travels and happy journeys. So that was my trip to Disney World, my first one, hopefully one of many. Thanks so much for watching, guys.